Hey, left, right, out. October 18th. Excuse me. We're back. Some interesting news. First thing I want to bring up, so we'll go over the markets real quick. They were kind of mixed, nothing big. I know the Dow was down, whatever, 0.1%. Nothing. Essentially, these are flat. S&P's up 15. VIX flat. Oil flat on the day, 82.23 or 33, but $82 a barrel. That's still pretty insane. 10-year 1.58. We're hovering around that 1.6 mark, and that should be going up. But we'll see. Here's why. Because one of the stories I'm going to bring to you. Sorry to move around a little bit, a little uncomfortable. So if we go to when it comes to that 10-year, now let's look at what this broke not too long ago this afternoon. The Chinese U.S. Treasury holdings 10-year lows after dumping in August. So they are, they say dumping treasuries. I mean, we're in the billions right now. But that's inverse to what we need if you're looking at it from a funding perspective as we get further into debt. So you don't want people exiting the debt market or unloading their treasuries. You'd rather them, unless they're rolling it over into new ones, I guess, and that's, what are you gaining really there? I don't know. But so they're getting out. At the same time, we're needing more people to get in. We need more suckers to buy the debt in order to fund, what we got going on, a 3.5 trillion plus budget for the year, and then whatever X factors we have in there. So it shows them their treasury, which they've been kind of in and out of the market. They've more sellers of recent years, which is understandable because how much longer can you hold interest rates so low? And when you look at real rates, not just nominal, like how much money are you really losing? What else can you do? Like, what if you had a bunch of dollars laying around and you're one of these foreign governments? You really can't just go down to your local market and buy whatever, a loaf of bread. Where you use those dollars, you have to bring them back over here, buy things, or buy things that are dollar denominated. So what would you do? Would you buy U.S. treasuries, or would you buy oil maybe? I'd probably buy the oil or some other natural resources. So, I imagine that's what's doing, especially with the energy crunch. That would make perfect sense that they're actually using a lot more of their dollar reserves to buy the coal, buy oil, buy other energy assets. So that, I'm assuming that's just using logic and a little bit of detective work just by seeing reading the tea leaves. That's what I think that what they're going to do with their dollars that they have, that they're getting. So that could be some of what we're seeing with the oil markets, because it's not, there's not like there's demand here because of liquidity. There's so much money. It's not like we're being productive, pumping a bunch of money in. And so you have all these misallocations, supply and demand. But there isn't that demand, like real demand in a healthy economy that should be pushing these energy prices up. But that's besides the point. So then we look at, what was the other thing I was looking at? I had this all. So yeah, along with the Fed and all their crap, over the last month or so, we've known the insider trading stuff that's been going on with a lot of the board members. Now leaked is Powell's trading list that he's had over the last year or so. Excuse me. Yeah, stock trading, a lot of ETFs, a lot of bonds. You can go look this up. It's been leaked by, who is it leaked by? It's reported at Zero Hedge, but they have it leaked here by the American, I believe it's American Prospect, and they're not they're not the bastion of conservatism or anything like that. They're kind of leftist, but they found this, they leaked it, and it just shows you some of these guys that, hey, they're playing the book. They know what they're doing, so they might as well make a little money, right? Which begs the question, what kind of, decisions they're making. Is it to just better themselves, or really, which that's why you don't want central planners. That's why you want a real market to find real prices, to allocate resources the most efficient manner. You don't want these, edicts coming down from on high from this, basically the most powerful institution in the world, the Federal Reserve, when it comes to money wise, in which they control everything. So that's interesting. There was another story that was so if you didn't know, former Secretary of State, former top general Colin Powell, he died, and apparently he's fully jabbed up, and died of certain virus complications. Died of certain virus complications. Let's just say. So he's passed on, and I haven't even looked at how the media is spinning a lot of this, but he, notorious. I mean, I don't want to bash anybody, but notorious for lying about a lot of things in Iraq, getting us involved in a lot of these foreign entanglements, being kind of a milquetoast conservative, checks pants type that was up there in the establishment. So, I mean, he's right up there with like a McCain-style Republican. So, yeah, that's all I have to really say about that. But you never wish ill on anybody's death. That's, I don't know what else to tell you about General Powell or former Secretary Powell or whatever you want to, whatever title he would like to be referred to as, or his family would be. But so we're still seeing insanity in the housing market. We're I don't know how they're going to front run, because we know that rates are going to have to go up. If they're going to do the taper, then the rates are going to have to go up. I don't think they'll make past 1%. But it's either you got to keep stimulating it or it's going to die. So the housing market, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what has to happen, but there's some interesting articles out there, when they talk about housing market, the disconnect between what we're seeing now, because there's been months where we've had mortgages decrease, but housing prices are skyrocketing. And for some reason, there was a housing builder survey. They're optimistic, and that's despite the intent of rate hikes, which is usually, so and that was despite supply shortages. So I don't understand what they're thinking. I know there's a lot of what is supposed demand out there, but we'll see if that's demand. See, the funny thing about that, since most people get mortgages, so if there's demand in the future of that, but then you also have mortgage rates go up, that tends to erode that demand or the ability of a lot of the people to get into the market itself. So I wouldn't read too much into that. And that might be on the news. I don't know what I don't know what's, I try to stay away from that. I mean, I've watched a little CNBC here and there, read some of their articles, but I can't stand them because it's all parroting the same thing. Now, China itself, let's go back to the Chinese thing, because that was the other thing I was going to hit. So if you didn't know, this tested a hypersonic missile. Supposedly we didn't know about it. Would that go along the lines of what I talked about before, where the CIA operatives have been compromised in a number of countries over the number of years, where CIA operatives have been killed, turned. So we don't have the intel that we normally have. They've been turning those assets around on us, apparently. That's what it seems like. They're more effective at spying on us than actual enemies. So supposedly they were, totally flabbergasted that China tested this nuclear-capable hypersonic missile, which, to be totally honest, I wouldn't have been, that's the average guy that has any knowledge of this area wouldn't be too surprised about it. But these guys with their, titles or whatnot supposedly are. But at the same time, so China is slow. They reported GDP numbers, and it was below. I think they were looking for 5-something%. They're in the 4 range. But they cook the books just like we do over here, maybe to more extent. And if you look at the numbers underneath, all the fake cities and all their manipulation, that number's probably just cooked to high heaven. That's probably more, you can knock a couple points off that. So they're not doing so hot. Let's just put it that way, China. And that, that could be some of the energy constraints, but that whole thing is a tinderbox. And we look at the Evergrande thing. I noticed that their minister or whatever mentioned it. He said it was kind of an isolated event. But then I just talked to you about the articles, which kind of changed my mind on the whole thing, when this is not just an isolated event. This is kind of systemic within that whole sector over there. And there's other companies that have already missed bond payments in China. Now, can they isolate it there? Yeah, but that's kind of a canary in a coal mine now I'm looking at it. I'm seeing that, because when you realize that the Chinese housing market, which is almost completely fake, is literally the largest asset in the world, it starts to get you thinking a little bit more about what that actually entails, that Evergrande issue. And I wouldn't even call it the Evergrande issue, but it's called the Chinese real estate or housing issue. Just to make it, because Evergrande's one company in a larger scheme of things. So yeah, they disappointed even with their cooked numbers. I don't know what they're going to do. Usually they'll probably make up something in the next quarter and whatnot. But okay, last thing, Buttigieg. So people have been bashing Buttigieg because I guess he while we're having all these supply issues at these ports, specifically the ones in California where there's, ships waiting weeks on end to unload product. And he's on maternity leave and he's defending himself and people are saying it's homophobic. Like, what the hell? So here's the thing: when you're in I'm not supreme leadership, but in a high level leadership position. I mean, yeah, when you're working in these offices or in the military or whatnot, yeah, you are afforded certain types of leave under certain circumstances. But at the same time, when things are popping off, when when you are needed, you are expected, especially as a senior leader, not to take that leave. You're the last person to be afforded that leave. I don't care if you have a kid born. I don't care if there's people on their deathbed. Like, other people's lives are dependent upon your leadership. And he didn't have to take that job if that was such a concern. But that kind of goes along the terms of being that leader and being in that role of making those kind of decisions, is that sometimes you have to sacrifice that. I know it sucks, but that is what it is. Great responsibility, begets great sacrifice. So I don't accept that, oh, well, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. If he doesn't want that, if he wants to be able to take leave whenever he wants to, or for paternity leave too. I know that sounds harsh, but hey, when you're in a leadership position, then that's what it is. But if you want to take those kind of things, you want to be afforded those opportunities, don't take that. Go back to your wherever. Go to some other low-level government job or some other private sector job where you're not in a crucial position. Because if you're going to be in these positions and you have, and we're in basically a crisis, and not say that I don't want the government involved in it in any way, I'd rather them get out of the way and let the private sector figure this stuff out. But the way we're set up right now, and that is a position that is going to be integral in the end of this supposed crisis, he needs to step it up. Otherwise, I'd if I was in charge and one of my commanders or whatever you want to call those R's or secretaries decided he's going to take some kind of leave during a crisis, we're going to have to get somebody else in there, man. That you're just not right for the job. I'm sorry. And it sucks because you're asked when you're in these leadership positions to sacrifice a lot. I know, but that is what it is. It's such these are crucial roles that people rely on. You are expected to sacrifice. It's just, it is what it is. But anyway, like, subscribe. I'll talk to you later.